For Telesur, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas. The U.S. Department of Defense officials say that destroying the Islamic State in Syria might not be completed under the administration of current President Barack Obama. The projection comes as the United States expands its airstrike in Iraq against the group. The U.S. began military operations in Iraq in early August, and the number of American troops there has grown to over 1,000. The U.S. is now seeking a broad coalition to expand its operations in the Middle East. President Obama says that the U.S. intends to systematically degrade the Islamic State's capabilities and shrink the territory that the group controls. On Sunday, the U.S. Air Force conducted several attacks against the Islamic State, and the Pentagon is now actively preparing for airstrikes in Syria. While the peace process holds in Gaza, Israeli occupation forces continue cracking down on Palestinian protesters in East Jerusalem. Protesters took to the streets on Sunday after a Palestinian teenager died of wounds suffered in earlier clashes with the Israeli military. Palestinian youth threw rocks and erected barricades. The Israeli military responded with rubber bullets. The West Bank is witnessing its largest protests in 10 years in response to the Israeli assault on Gaza, which killed over 2,100 Palestinians. Israel has occupied East Jerusalem since 1967. And as protests raise tensions in East Jerusalem, calm slowly returns to weary Palestinians. In Gaza, for the mood on the ground there, we go to our correspondent, Noor Harazin.
Yesterday, we reported the death of one of the people who got injured during the Israeli offensive on the Gaza Strip. Today, the same thing happened. 22-year-old young man died of his wounds. This man got injured in the Gaza Strip during the Israeli offensive, during the Israeli protective edge operation on the Gaza Strip. He was transferred to a hospital in Egypt. However, today, the ministry here in Gaza reported his death in an Egyptian hospital. This means that the Palestinian death toll in the Gaza Strip will continue to rise up even in the upcoming days, as many people, hundreds of people, are suffering critical injuries until now. Also, the top story in Gaza Strip today is the problems or the division between both Hamas and Fatah, from the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and Hamas in Gaza. Everyone is going up in different statements. Fatah and the PLO is saying that Hamas is trying to manipulate the Palestinian Unity government, and they're trying to show that the PLO does not care about Gaza. However, Hamas is stating that Fatah and the Palestinian president and the PLO are not taking their responsibility towards the Gaza Strip.
And thanks to Noor. A roaring blast rattled Nicaraguans near the capital city of Managua Saturday night. Authorities now say that the noise likely came from an asteroid striking the Earth. The meteorite's impact and explosion left a 40-foot wide crater near the city's airport. Local authorities suspect that the space rock might be a fragment from the larger 2014 RC asteroid that passed near the Earth. Residents who live near the crash site first thought that the bang was caused by an explosion or an earthquake. Earthquakes are common in the country. Thankfully, the meteorite did not land on anyone or cause injuries. Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko says that paramilitaries have released 1,200 hostages to Kiev. Later this week, 863 more are expected to be released. Poroshenko's announcement came after a September 5th meeting between Kiev authorities and the Donbass militias, in which they agreed to an immediate ceasefire as well as to an exchange of prisoners. Pro-Russian rebels also released 33 Ukrainian soldiers who were still refusing to surrender. President Poroshenko says he will meet with those soldiers today in Mariupol. Security forces cracked down on protesters in the Yemen capital of Sana'a on Sunday as tensions in the country further deteriorated. At least one protester was killed. Meanwhile, government war jets struck Houthi rebels in northern Yemen. The standoff between the Houthis community and the government has escalated over the past 3 days, with the death of 70 people. The Houthis are demanding that the government step down and that fuel subsidies be restored. The Houthis played an important role in the unseating of former U.S.-backed dictator Saleh in 2012. In Honduras last week, the municipality of Tegucigalpa attempted to apply a tax on artists. The tax will come as a huge expense for most local artists. For what it could mean for them, we go to our Central America correspondent, Gerardo Torres.
In the capital of Honduras, there is a new charge being levied on artists presenting their work in public or private spaces. For each performance, artists will have to pay $10 as a result of a negotiation that many believe was a defeat, as just a month ago, art was still free in the city. Some artists have assured that they are not going to pay and have started a new protest against authorities.
La tasa municipal en contra del arte y la cultura.
The municipal tax against art and culture. We are subverting the 200 limpias that we have to pay for each artistic event, and you can see that we are paying against our will.
Y se ve que lo estamos pagando de mala manera.
Originally, a law proposed amounts of between $250 to $500, the same amount that larger international events pay. A normal concert of a national band in the capital city barely obtains $250 in gross income.
El modelo neoliberal lo que quiere también es mercantilizar todo lo que se puede.
The neoliberal model wants to commercialize everything it can. They already have the forest, the water and the air. Now they also want the culture. It's part of the same plan to want to get the benefits out of something so tangible and public as culture.
Tangible y que es patrimonio de los pueblos, ¿no? Como es la cultura.
Pablo Núñez is a member of Café Huancasco, a Honduran band that opposed the coup d'etat of 2009 and has been constantly under threats and attacks by the government. He believes that this is a political consequence of the actual situation in the country.
Un gobierno militar, un gobierno que utiliza las armas como su método.
A military government that uses firearms as a method of domination is obviously an enemy of culture, and obviously culture is going to be an enemy of a government that uses weapons. So this was another attempt to kill that part of the human being.
Por matar esa parte del ser humano, esa parte tan importante.
The prospect of a new tax forced the artists to get together in small assemblies, and many promised to step up pressure if the measure was approved. However, many have accepted the $10 levy, and this could mean that opposing the tax could be left to the same group of artists that have been protesting numerous issues over the last several years. Gerardo Torres, Telesur, Central America.
And thanks to Gerardo. We have plenty more on those stories and others at our website, telesurtv.net/English. For Telesur English, I'm Cody Weddle.